Hi everyone, my name is Akshaj and this is a video where I'm explaining the conditional statements in Python. We'll start with the first conditional statement, the if statement. The if statement only runs if the condition given is true. For example, I want to check if I should carry my umbrella or not. I told Python already that it is raining, as you can see here. So if we tell Python that if it's raining, print me a message to take an umbrella. As the condition is true, it will tell me to take an umbrella. But as you can see here, I also wrote another print statement below the if statement. It will run properly only because it is not inside the if block. So it will run without any issues. We can take another example. In an ATM, if you want to check if our balance is sufficient or not. So I've given Python a balance of 5,000 and I've given Python another withdrawal of 3,000. I tell Python to check that if the withdrawal is less than equal to balance, it has to give me a withdrawal dispense statement, and it also gave me the remaining value left in my balance. So as 3,000 is less than 5,000, it will give me the proper value and the answer. We have to learn some important comparison operators using conditions which are very helpful in Python. For example, the greater than equation, the less than operation, the double equal to. The double equal to is different than the single equal to because the single equal to means assigning while a double equal to means comparison. The exclamation mark followed by the equal to sign tells us not equal, and greater than equal to tells us if it's greater than equal or not, and less than equal to gives us less than equal to or not, as you can see here. We'll talk about the next condition statement, the if else. It runs the code only if the if condition is false, the else block will be run. For example, I have an age verification code. For example, I've given my age as 17. I tell Python to check if my age is greater than equal to 18, it will give me an access granted statement. And if it's not greater than equal to 18, it will give me an access denied statement. As my age is 17, which is less than 18, it will properly give me an access denied statement. From the above code, we wrote another detailed code about the ATM one. So for example, I have my balance of 5,000 and a withdrawal, I've written 8,000. It tells Python that if my withdrawal is less than my balance, similarly to the above code, it will give me a withdrawal dispensed statement. But if it's not, it will give me an insufficient funds statement. And when I run this code, you can see that as 8,000 is very much more than 5,000, it will give me an insufficient funds statement. We can also see another example of an email validation. For example, it's important to check in an email if that @ and full stop is present in an email address or not. So I've written a small email of this one, and I tell Python to check if @ and the full stop are present in the email string. If it's present, it will give me a valid statement, and if it's not, it will give me a not a valid email. As the both full stop and @ are present, it properly gives me a valid statement. We'll talk about the next if condition, is that the if elif else condition. These only take place when we have more than two possible outcomes. First, what it does, it checks the if statement. If the condition is true, it tells us right there, but it's not, it skips it and goes to the elif. And if elif is true, it will choose it right there, but if it's not, it skips till it goes to the else. The else is the final one because after this there's nothing possible, so it prints us that one. We'll see a small example. This is a grade calculator code. I've given my marks as 20. Okay, so first I tell Python to check if its marks are greater than equal to 90. If it's greater than equal to 90, it'll give me an A plus, and similarly if it's greater than equal to 60, it'll give me a C. And but if all fail, if it's not even greater than equal to 50, it will give me a failed statement. So first it checks my marks, which is 20. 20 is less than equal to 90, so it will skip this. It is also less than equal to 80, it will skip this. It will skip all these till it's the final statement. Because this is also false, it will give me the else statement and it will run the code. A more practical example of this is the e-commerce website. When we want to check, we want to give shipping costs based on the order value. So for example, I've given my order value as 1,250. So what I told Python that if the order value is greater than equal to 2,000, it will give me a shipping cost of 0 and also a free shipping message. If it's greater than equal to 1,000, it will give me a shipping cost of 49 and a standard shipping message. And if it's greater than equal to 50, so 500, it will give me a shipping cost of 99 and a economy shipping message. And similarly, if all these fail, it will give me a shipping cost of 150 and a message of express shipping. As 1250 will fall under this one, it will give me a free shipping, it will give me a standard shipping, as you can see here. But the important thing to keep in mind is that the order matters very much, because Python stops at the first true condition. For example, in the same similar grade calculator code, we have given a marks as 95. This is a wrong because we have told Python that the mark should be greater than or equal to 60, it will print grade C. Else, it will give a, if it's greater than or equal to 90, it will give a A+. But as 95 is greater than or equal to 60, this will be true. So Python won't see the next one because this is true, so it won't bother seeing the next one and give me grade C. This is wrong because grade A is better than grade C. So the correct way to write this code is to give A+ before and grade C before. So it's always important Python to always check if the code is for more specific or to least specific, and we have to keep in mind that. Next, we'll talk about the nested if-else condition. It is basically an if block inside another if block. It's used for multi-level decisions. For example, we have a club entry code. For example, if we have given Python that we have age equals 22, we have a ticket and the club is not full. So first what it does, it checks the age. If the age is greater than or equal to 18, it checks if it has a ticket. This is another if-else formula condition inside the bigger if condition of the age. Then it checks if it has a ticket. If it has a ticket, it will check if it's not full. If these all conditions are properly satisfied, it will print me to a welcome message. Else it will tell me, then it checks if it's full or not. If it's not full, it will give me a sorry message. Then it checks if it has a ticket or not. If it has a ticket, it will satisfy these conditions, but if it does not have a ticket, it will tell me that a ticket is not available, that I do not have a ticket. Then the biggest one is that if it checks the age of 18, if I'm greater than 18, it checks these. If I'm not greater than 18, it gives me a print message of I must be 18 plus because I'm 8 or my age, whatever. So when I run this, it'll give me a welcome message because my age is 22 correctly. But if I give a message, for example, I'm giving 17 instead of 22, it tells me that I must be 18. For example, if I change it and give this hash ticket as false, it will tell me to buy a ticket. As you can see, these work like this, and you can play with these however you want. Next, we'll talk about the ternary operator. These are perfect or simple assignment. These are a one-line if-else statement. For example, this is a traditional way of writing an if-else code. What we can do is a shorter way of writing it. We can write a status variable and tell it's adult to print adult if our age is greater than or equal to 18, else we have to print a minor. As you can see, this entire big code has been condensed into one single code in one line, as you can see here. A real life example is that to check if our score is to check scores. For example, we have given a score of 75. We have also told Python to write a result that if to give pass statement if our score is greater than or equal to 60, or else give us a fail statement. As 75 is greater than or equal to 60, it will probably give me a pass statement, as you can see here. There's similarly other codes like the ATM code. As you can see, you can see the same the big code we wrote in one line, and similarly you can see the card statement, which you can see afterwards. We can also use these under F strings, which is a very common pattern used to help us write code in easy way. Next, we'll talk about some logical operators, which are AND, OR, NOT. They combine multiple conditions in one if statement rather than writing big lines. For example, the AND operator returns true only when both conditions are true. For example, the age is greater than or equal to 18 and has ID, it will give me a true. What OR does is that it checks if at least one condition is true. For example, if is admin or is owner, if even one is true, it will give me a true. And what NOT does is that it tells a condition is false. For example, NOT is, it tells us the opposite of the one. we'll see a small code of the AND one. So in AND operator, all must be true. For example, we have a age equals 25 and has told that we have an ID, So we tell Python that if age equals to 18 and this is very important, and has an ID, we have to give entries allowed. And as we satisfy both the equations, it will tell us that entry is allowed. Now we'll check the OR. In OR, at least one of the function must be true. For example, we have an is admin, we are an admin, which is not, and we have an is owner, which we are. So even if we are not is admin, as we are owner, it will give me a dashboard access granted statement properly. But if I give even this false, as you can see here, it will tell me my access is denied. Next, we'll talk about the not statement. What not does is that flips a condition. For example, I have written that is banned is false, which means I'm not banned. So it tells Python if it's not is banned, it gives me a user is allowed to post message. But if it's not, if I am banned, it will give me that user is banned. As I've told I'm not banned, it gives me a proper user is allowed to post statement, as you can see here. We can also use these all operators in a combined big code. For example, this is a login validation code I've written. We have a username, we have a password, and we also told that the user is active. So we have a valid user, the admin, and a valid pass called secure pass. What Python does is it checks that if the username is equal to, which means is same as valid user, and password is same as valid pass, and it is active, it will give me a login successful message. And if the username is valid user and we are not active, it will give me an account is deactivated message. Else, if these all fail, it will give me an invalid username password statement. And when I run it, as we satisfy all these statements properly, it gives me a login successful statement. So that was all for the video, guys. Thank you for watching.